ls command, the first field, there are multiple fields. The first field is the type of the file and the file permissions. The second field is the number of hard links to the file. The field 3 is the owner. The fourth field is the group. The fifth field is the size of the file in bytes. Sixth is the last modified date and time of the file. And the last seventh field is the file name. So this is what it looks like. You have the file type, you have the permissions, you have the number of links, the owner, the group, the size in bytes, the date and time the file was last modified, and then the name of the file. Now we will go into more details of the details of this first field because it looks a bit cryptic. So if you notice, like for example this one, this is RWX, you can also, this is RW, it's not, there's a dash here, but you can see this is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. There are three different repetitions for this. So this is the first field, and before this RWX there is a one separate character. So this first character tells you the type of the file, and then this is the whole, on this part is all of the permissions area. Inside the permissions area you've got the permissions for the owner, the group, and everyone else. So that's why these three things are repeated: read, write, and execute. So the first character, I'll explain that. This is the first character. You see a D or a dash. So the D means it's a directory, and the dash means it's a normal file, and it can also be considered a hard link. We'll not be discussing hard links right now, but just consider it as a normal file. And if you see a D over there, it's a directory. Sometimes you might see a L, which is a symbolic link, or a sometimes called a soft link file, and you can also consider it something like a shortcut. So that's L is a symbolic link. Okay, so usually you'll see L, D, or dash. These are the three most common types. Then there are some not so common types, which is like an S, a P, a B, or a C, which you will find in special areas or directories. You won't find this, the S, P, B, and C types of files in common directories. They will be in special directories. And S means it's a socket file. The P is a pipe file, B is a block device, C is a character device. We won't be explaining these four right now because that's a technical topic to be explained in a separate area when it comes to the details of the operating system. But from the user point of view, this is the most common three types: the normal file, which is a dash; D, which is a directory, or sometimes also called a folder or subdirectory; and then you have got the link file, which is like a shortcut, a symbolic link, or a soft link. Now we come to the next 9 characters in field 1 after the first one, which is these. We have this. The first character is the type of the file. We have already discussed that. Now we are talking about these 9 characters, which are after the total 10, but there are these 9, and these are the permissions. So we shall be discussing these. There are 9 characters here, separated into 3 characters each, and each of these 3 characters can be R, W, or X, which represents read, write, and execute. So R is for read, W means write, and X is for execute. If you see a dash in that, that means it's turned off. So the first 3 are for the permissions for the owner. The next 3 are for the permissions for this one. The first 3 are the owner. The second 3 are for the group permissions. And then the last 3 are the permissions for everyone else. This is also called other, or basically in some operating systems they call it everyone. In Unix and Linux they call it others. So basically when you have an R, W, or X, it just means whether the read permission, write permission, or execute permission is available. So for example, we take this one. Here the owner has got read, write, and execute permission on this file, and then the group has got read, and does not have write permissions, but they do have execute permissions, and everyone else or others has only read and execute permissions and no write permissions. Similarly, this is another file. Here the owner can read and write the file but cannot execute it. The group can read it but cannot write or execute it, and others can do nothing about this file. So this is the owner and this is group. Usually in Linux machines you might see that the owner and group for in the user directories are both the same, because Linux system administrators and distributors, they usually create a separate group for each user and they name the group the same as the username. So that's why it's common to see the user and the group being the same, but there are separate items. There might be other files where I can show you another example where if I do ls-l, okay, ls-l. For example, you will see in this example, there is this file here. You will see that these are the permissions, links. This is the user is owner or user is root, and the group is dial out. So it does not have to be the same. The group can be different from the owner.